Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
These were our conventional sources of energy that we have studied till now. Fine. Now we will be studying about some alternate sources of energy. As per what we know, we are facing an energy crisis situation. Why? Because our human population is on a tremendous rise, and because of our technological advancement, in order to fulfill our daily needs, we require to consume these limited energy resources at a very fast pace. So, there has been a threat of energy crisis. There has been a situation where we are forced to divert ourselves into thinking about using other sources of energy also, in order to make sure that our future generations are also able to carry on with their requirement fulfillment. And for that, we are now looking forward for some alternate sources of energy, or the non-conventional sources of energy. Non-conventional means which are not being used traditionally nowadays. Till now, we have not been using them as our traditional source or day-to-day source. Fine. And these all alternate sources of energy, the best part about them is they are all renewable sources of energy. Being renewable sources of energy or inexhaustible sources of energy, they are good for us. They are not going to exhaust, and that is why if we increase our consumption towards these alternate sources of energy, they can fulfill our requirements. Now, what all are the alternate sources of energy? We will study one by one. First of all, we will be studying about solar energy, the energy which comes out to us from the sun. Now, the actual sunlight consists of three types of rays. In junior classes, you must have read about it. One are the infrared rays. The another one is the visible light, that is visible to us. Mind you, the infrared rays are invisible. And third are the ultraviolet rays. Now, these ultraviolet rays, they are reflected back by the ozone layer of the earth. So, that is why these ultraviolet rays do not reach our earth. Fine. What we receive is infrared rays and visible light. Got it? All the heating effect in the sun's energy or the sunlight is because of these invisible infrared rays. Fine. Alright. So, these two parts of the components of sunlight, they reach our earth, and we are very fortunate that on earth we receive lot of solar energy every year. On an average basis, we receive approximately 1.4 kilojoules per second per square meter energy on our earth. This is the solar energy that on an average basis we receive, the earth receives. I am talking about on an average basis throughout for the earth, right. This can also be written as 1.4 kilowatts per square meter. Every square meter area of this earth receives an average sunlight, that is the energy is 1.4 kilojoule per second. So, this is a tremendous potential source which we can harness in order to fulfill our requirements and in order to avert the energy crisis situations, and that is what we are as humans we are trying to do, right. Now, this solar energy we can utilize through various solar devices. These solar devices make use of this solar energy, or I should be rather specific, using the infrared rays of the sunlight. We already use for normal day to day work like drying of clothes, in the sunlight when we put the clothes, then the infrared rays, the heating effect, that evaporates the water from the clothes and dries it. Right, when we dry or our pickles etc., whatever we keep in sunlight in order to dry, the grains, the harvest, everything, that is we are making utilization of that solar energy. Students, let us see what exactly and how exactly a solar cooker works. Now let us study about solar cooker. Now a solar cooker consists of a rectangular wooden box which is lined from inside with some insulating material such as thermocol or glass wool. Okay. Now the insulating material prevents heat losses due to conduction, convection and radiation. Within the wooden box is placed a tight fitting metallic box whose inner surface is painted black. Why so? Black surfaces are good absorbers of heat energy. We already know that. Okay. On the top of the box is fitted a lid which consists of a wooden frame in which is fixed plain sheet of glass, as you can see it. This glass sheet in the lid allows the solar energy to enter the box but does not allow it to flow out in the form of radiant heat. So it is very important, the function of this. To the upper side of the box is attached a plane mirror with the help of a clamp. This plane mirror can be adjusted at any angle so that the solar energy could be reflected into the box. In order to cook food in the solar cooker, metallic utensils are used and their external surfaces including lids are also blackened so that they can absorb maximum amount of heat energy. The food materials such as rice, dal etc. are placed in the utensils with appropriate amount of water and lids are fixed on them. Right. Now these utensils are then transferred to the solar cooker. The lid of the solar cooker is closed and it is turned towards the sun so that the solar radiations enters in it directly. The angle of the solar reflector is also adjusted so that more of the solar radiations get reflected into the lid. Within 3 or 4 hours or so, the temperature within the solar cooker rises up to 100 degrees Celsius to 140 degrees Celsius, which is sufficient to cook the food placed in those metallic containers which were kept in this solar cooker. So this is how a solar cooker works. The very important things that you need to remember in a solar cooker: firstly, we take insulating material. Secondly, the glass sheet that is used in the lid, that is very important. If that glass sheet is not there, then the solar radiations which are reflected into the lid, they are going to escape and thus all the heating effect is also gone. The function of plane mirror is equally important because it reflects more and more light rays, the solar rays, into the lid. Very importantly, why the internal side and the containers are painted black? Because black is the maximum absorbent of heat. So this is a solar cooker and these are a few things you need to relate in a solar. Fine. Now there are various advantages of this solar cooker. So when we talk about the advantages of solar cooker, the advantages of solar cooker. First advantage is it uses solar energy and this solar energy is free of cost. No charges for it. Second thing, it uses solar energy which is a renewable source of energy. The third advantage we have is no smoke, no pollution. The fourth advantage we have is because it works on the slow heating, the nutritive value of food items is maintained, is restored. Right. So these are to name a few, the advantages of using solar energy. Another thing, we can cook more than one food item at one time. Fine. So, these are the various advantages, but there are certain disadvantages also, the limitations, the disadvantages of using solar energy. The first foremost disadvantage is that solar energy is not available. It is not available in plenty at all places and at all times. That is what we have been studying throughout in the renewable sources of energy or any natural resource, that are not available at all the places and at all the times. We cannot make use of this solar cooker at night. We cannot make use in winters when there is a diffused form of solar energy. In cloudy or rainy season, we cannot make utilization of this, right. So, this is one of the major drawbacks of solar energy, right. Second thing, when we are using this solar cooker, the another important drawback of the solar cooker is that it is very slow process. So, it is very time consuming. Third thing, every time we require the direct sunrise to fall on it. So, with the sun moving around, we have to change the direction of the solar cooker every half an hour, every 1 hour, or every 2 hours, so that the sun rays directly, straightforwardly, in a straight direction they come to the solar cooker. Fine. Next, because it is only a slow heating, then all the deep frying work or all the things that require greater amount of energy, it is not possible to do that in box type solar cooker. So, you can't make chapatis, you can't make pakoras, you can't fry anything, because the amount of heat energy generated over here is comparatively quite small, right, quite less. So, these are the few disadvantages of using solar cooker or solar energy. Got it? Now, the next important use that we do of solar energy is in the form of solar cells. Now, these solar cells are very important. Why? Because these solar cells are the devices which convert the solar energy directly into electrical energy. These solar cells have the capability of converting the solar energy directly into electrical energy. How? These solar cells contain some semiconductor devices. They contain such semiconductors like silicon, like boron, like arsenic. So, there are different layers of silicon, boron or arsenic. Fine. And when sunlight falls on them, these are semiconductors, they generate some charges, because of which electrical energy is produced. Don't have to go that much into detail of it. Important thing is, these solar cells are able to convert solar energy into electrical energy, and that is why they can be used at lot many places. Fine. They are used manywhere, but the problem is that a simple single solar cell, it generates very less amount of electrical energy. Therefore, if we want to increase or enhance the use of solar cells, what we do is we make a solar cell panel. This is what you can see here. This is a solar cell panel. What we do here is we just take many solar cells combined or joined together to form a solar cell panel. Now, when sunlight falls on them, each and every solar cell, it produces electrical energy. These solar cells are connected. All the energy generated by them is stored in a battery, and then this stored energy in a battery can be used and utilized to perform various functions like switching on the motor to get the water or to do anything. So, this solar cell panel is used so as to increase the amount of electricity generated. Fine. There are various uses these solar cells are put into nowadays, right. The first important use of solar cells is all our artificial satellites, all that go into the space. They all have their systems, computers, every mechanism, every machine working out there. From where do they get all the energy? That energy, that electricity is supplied to them through solar cells. They are equipped with solar cell panels that utilize the solar energy in the space. They convert it into electrical energy, and that electrical energy is used to run over there in space shuttles and satellites. Then in remote areas, in hilly areas, in inaccessible areas where it is not feasible or it is very expensive to transport electricity in the form of wires, there these solar cells can be used. Fine. Then in our many toys, in our calculators, there are solar cell watches. Here also we use these solar cells. So, the uses are many, but there are certain drawbacks with the use of solar cells. Now, the major drawbacks while using solar cells is that they are quite expensive. Even though the silicon which is used in these solar cells, this is quite abundant, but the high grade silicon which is required for making these well fabricated solar cells, that is quite expensive. So, that is the first reason why these solar cells are expensive. Second reason is these solar cells in the form of solar panel, they are connected with silver wiring. Why silver wiring? Because silver is the best conductor of electricity. Each solar cell is producing a very low amount of electrical energy which we do not want to get lost. So, we use silver wiring connections which make it again very costly. Fine. So, these are a few limitations of using solar cells. This is all about solar energy. Hope you have understood all. Fine. Thanks for watching.